Today, we will discuss about the saints of Devi Mahatmyam. Devi Mahatmyam is a very celebrated mantra puja from Devi Markandeya Purana, and this is a highly effective and highly powerful Purana and mantras which is recommended to be studied, read, and recited to overcome all difficulties in life. This is specifically done during the Navaratri time. And the same mantras, Devi Mahatmyam, is also done as a homa called Chandi Homa. The Devata of Devi Mahatmya is Ma Chandi. Ma Chandi is the embodiment of the three vital principles Durga, Lakshmi, and Saraswati. In Devi Mahatmya, Durga, Lakshmi, Saraswati are not considered as consorts of Brahma, Vishnu, or Shiva. Here, they are deities in their own rights. In fact, the male deities accompany them when they are fighting. Here, these deities are primordial energies, and Chandima is the combination of all these three super energies. In fact, most of the Devi temples, highly acclaimed Devi temples, is a representation of Chandima. Since Chandi is represented in Ugra form, the Saumya form is represented by other names like Kamakshi, Bhuvaneshwari, Meenakshi, Visalakshi, Annapurani, etc. etc. They are all the Durga, Lakshmi, and Saraswati energies combined into one. In Devi Mahatmya, the Puranic story I will tell you now, and then I will tell you the science behind that Puranic story. Here we must understand the Puranas were constructed by the rishis because, as I have told in one of my earlier lectures, the esoteric truths contained in the Vedas and Upanishads was not possible to be reached to the common man. So, in order to reach him, the essence of the Vedas and Upanishads, they constructed stories around each principle, and the stories were propagated, and the people were able to understand and remember the story, and through that the principle embodied in that. But over a period of time, the story stayed, but the essence was lost. So Devi Mahatmyam is no exception. Everybody is doing Devi Mahatmya very sincerely, but without knowing the real essence and meaning of Devi Mahatmya. So now we will try and understand the science of Devi Mahatmya. But before that, let us look at the Puranic story as it is. There was a king called Savarni who was ruling his country very well, but unfortunately he was overpowered his enemies, and when he was overpowered, his entire ministry and all the people who enjoyed benefits from him switched loyalties and went to the enemy side, and he had to run away from his country and wander in the forest, and he came to the ashram of a great rishi called Sumetas. Similarly, there was one Vaishya. He was taking care of his family very well, But his family drove him away. So he also was very sad, and he also came to the forest, and it so happened he also came to the ashram of Sumetas. There they both met, and they were exchanging their sad stories. Then they went to the Rishi and told them their problems, and they told that we have been betrayed, but still our mind is attached to our family, and we have not done anything wrong, but why we have been subjected to these problems, and how do we overcome this? Rishi told that this problem, whatever you are facing, is faced by everyone. Even beings like ant, they have ego, they have intelligence, they have everything as what a human being can have, and therefore nothing new about your experience. But if you have to get out of this vicious circle, there is only one way, that is, Ma Chandi can rescue you. Then they asked, can you explain to us about Ma? Then Rishi explained to them the story of Ma Chandi, that is Devi Mahatmyam. Mahatmyam means the great performances, great history of Devi. In Devi Mahatmyam, it is divided into three parts, like Bhagavad Gita. It is also having 700 slokas like Bhagavad Gita, and it is having 13 chapters. The first Adhyaya is devoted to Ma Kali, and the second portion is to Ma Lakshmi, and the third to Ma Saraswati. The first portion is to overcome the physical impurities. The second portion is to overcome vital and mental impurities, and the last one to overcome the spiritual impurities. Now the story goes like this. Brahma was doing tapas, and Lord Vishnu was in his yoga nitra. From the dirt of the ear of Mahavishnu, two Rakshas arose, called Madhu and Kaidap, and they challenged Brahma, and they wanted to kill Brahma. Brahma could not fight because he is a creator, he is not a warrior. He is a sattvic element. So he came to Vishnu, but Vishnu was in his nidra. So he prayed to Ma, the Yoga Maya, the Loga Maya, that is the Veiler. Devi is the Veiler. And prayed to her to awaken Vishnu so that he can fight. And Devi obliged, and Vishnu woke up and then killed the Madhu and Kaidaba. Then the second story is about Mahishasur. Mahishasur obtained all the boons, and he started killing all the devas. Devas were driven out of their living area, kingdom. They had to wander. And even then, Mahishasur will not leave them. He was hunting them down. So they all assembled in a river bank and started praying to Ma. Ma appeared before them, and they told their problems. And she said, don't worry, I will take care. And she said, you all had ego, and even now you have ego. You surrender all your ego. All the devas surrendered their ego. In fact, most of the problems of devas, because they have only ego. They have powers, but they have ego. That is why many times they are overpowered by the Rakshas. But Rakshas are also having ego, To quell the Rakshas, the god has to come down, incarnate. Either Devi or Vishnu or Shiva, somebody. Here, the Devas surrendered their ego by giving all their energies to Ma. So Ma became the personification of all the energies. And on seeing her, Mahishasur came to fight. And Ma quelled him. So Mahishasur took many forms, but then finally he was quelled. Then the third episode is about Sumba Nisumba. Here, after some time, after Mahishasur's Vada, the Devas were happy, but then all of a sudden, the Sumba Nisumba came into the picture and they troubled the Devas. And Devas once again assembled in the river bank. And one of the Deva recalled what happened in the past when Mahishasur disturbed them. So once again, they all prayed to Ma, and Ma appeared before them. They told them their problems, and Ma said, "Okay, I will take care." And Ma took a image of a very beautiful woman, and after seeing that, the ambassadors or messengers of Sumba went and told Sumba that there is a beautiful girl there, she should be your wife. And that Sumba got tempted, and then he sent his first emissary, Dhumralochana, and he was trying to misbehave. Ma killed him. Then he sent Chandamunda. They were also killed by Ma. And then he sent Raktabija. He was also killed. And finally came Sumba. They were also vanquished. After this, hearing this story, the king and the Vaisya were advised that you now pray to Ma by reciting the Devi Sukta, and you will get relief. Accordingly, they did so, very severe penance, and Devi appeared before them and granted them the boon what they wanted. Savarni was blessed to be the king in the hierarchy or heritage of Surya, and the Vaishya became a Jnani as desired by him. This is Devi Mahatmya Purana. Before getting into the science of Devi Mahatmya Purana, we have to understand certain important basic facts. This Purana actually, though told as if it is a story that has happened in an external world, it actually depicts a war internally. That is, every one of us is fighting on a day-to-day basis. Therefore, we have to understand the following facts before I get into the science of Devi Mahatmya. All of us are likely to experience 6 internal enemies. They are the passions of mind: Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Mascharya. These are all negative characteristics which prevents man from realizing the Atman, that is the true reality of a man. What Kama? Kama is lust, Krodha anger, Lobha is greed, Moha is delusion, Mada is pride, Matsarya is jealousy. These are all obstacles in the path of one who wants to seek bliss. To go into some details about this Arishtavargas, Kama is lust, craze, desire for riches, honor, status, fame, basically attachment to material world, sensory world, without understanding that it is all fleeting. Krodha is anger, hatred, yearning to harm others, a desire to harm others, and cause ruin to others. Lobha is greed, miserliness, narrow mindedness, ill will that no one should overtake them, adamancy, etc. Moha is delusionary emotional attachment, temptation, and false longing to be closer to some person or some items. Mada is pride, stubbornness, hubris, swagger that develops as if he has a scholarship or strength or riches or fame more than others, though he might not have any of this. This arrogance is the fall, the reason for fall of many people. Matsarya is envy, jealousy, and inability to see others happy. These Arishtavargas are responsible for all kinds of difficult experiences. Kama and Krodha blinds our eye. Ahankar, false ego, when it is up and active, it makes us selfish. There can be no better enemy than this. When the materially identified ego has sided with the materialistic forces like Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, and Matsarya, they spoil us completely. It loots our internal energies and we just go down the drain. If we become a prisoner of this Arishtavargas, our life is only governed by bad destiny. If we have to move ahead in the path of bliss, these vices have to be checked. Only then we can purify ourselves and lead a happy and prosperous life. In addition to this Arishtavargas, there are three more dirts called Tridastas. These are all the dust that can set in our mind, perhaps out of our success or a sense of false success, or making us to believe that our success is eternal and therefore we are infallible. That is why the proverb says, handling success is far more difficult than managing a failure. The first problem or first dirt is megalomania. This is developing a false feeling of invincibility and therefore getting intoxicated with power. This will result in forgetting the roots and moorings and makes one to challenge anyone and everyone, falsely assuming that his powers are far beyond anybody else and his word has to be the final. Next dirt is stupidity. Consequent to being intoxicated with power, imagining that he can do no wrong and nobody can question his wisdom, he actually becomes an idiot. This again leads to a situation with a swelled head. He is troubling the virtuous people and harassing the common man, and in the process, he becomes a repository of vices. The third one is getting carried away. Drunk with power, believing that he can do no wrong, he falls into the hands of sycophants and start running after sensory powers as fueled by them. Seeing that this fellow is under their sway to gain material benefits, the cronies fuel him with more desires, and this vicious circle lead to menacing proportions, inviting the wrath of the nature, which will ultimately quell him. If a person is a prisoner of three dastas as above, he is on a path to complete ruin, and whatever he has gained or earned, that will also be lost. All the Rakshasas, whether it is Shishubala, Surabhatma, Ravana, Duryodhana, name any, they would be under the influence of some of these or all of these vices. Now, having understood that these are all the pitfalls in our life, which is arising only because of our mindset, our thought process. Nobody else is giving us these enemies. Enemies are not outside, enemies are within us. These are all internal enemies, and unless we control these internal enemies, we cannot grow. In fact, no external enemy will arise if we have no internal enemy. So, the Puranas are replete with stories only to guide us how to control the internal enemies. Though it is presented as if it is a fight between two external forces. The good force in any Purana is our conscience, the divine spark within us. The evil forces are nothing but these Arishtavargas and Tridastas. These Arishtavargas and Tridastas are called Rakshas, and our virtues are called Devadas, and the divine spark is called Devi, Vishnu, or Shiva. So the fight, let us understand, is happening within us, in our internal world, within our internal conscience, where the fight is between our conscience and the forces that is obstructing the conscience. With this understanding, let us now scientifically analyze the Devi Mahatmya. The first episode is talking about quelling Madhu and Kaidap. Madhu means sweetness. In fact, the sweet honey is called Madhu. It is the ultimate sweetness that is called Madhu. Kaidap means the tongue watering, tempting, and ultimate sensory pleasures. Both Madhu and Kaidap are our sensory pleasures. Normally, the Kaidap accompanies the Madhu. With this we can see in the life of a drunkard. He will have Madhu, the wine. Along with that, he will have some savories, the Kaidap. We all enjoy it, but nothing wrong. I am not talking about the drink. I am talking about the sweet and savory. Nothing wrong in enjoying them. But we should not become an addict or a slave to that. If we get overindulged, then we forget our cosmic responsibilities. Then we become a physical being. Actually, the real meaning of Madhu is Madhu Vidya. Madhu is an essence. It's the essence of the flower. It is essence of the sun. If you understand the essence of something, essence of the sun, essence of any manifested being, as a representative of the Parabrahman, then you are into Madhu Vidya. But if you are confining yourself just to the external Madhu, then you become tempted. So, the Madhu Kaidap is a deadly attraction. If you don't understand how to overcome this material sensory Madhu Kaidap and go towards the spiritual Madhu, you'll be got into a terrible spot. That is what happened to the dinosaurs. They started enjoying everything as if they are the masters of the universe, and finally they were removed from the scene. Next is Mahishasur. Mahishasur is the stupidity and vanity in human ego, which makes a person not to see reason at all. Even if you are otherwise a fine and strong person, because of this stupidity and ego, you have a sordid end. Then Dhumralochan. Dhumralochan means smoky. It represents smoky and unclear mind, and therefore we get carried away like smoke with no moorings of our own, and we are getting knocked out. So we have to be clear in our thought and should not be smoky, should not allow other smoky thoughts to cover us. Rakta Bij represents the continuous and unstoppable self multiplying desires. If we satisfy one desire, another desire will crop up. That is why when Devi was trying to kill Rakta Bij, from one drop of his blood, another Rakta Bij came. That is how the bundle of desires crop up. This unending desires makes you astray and fail to fulfill your responsibilities, and as a result you ruin your life. Then comes the Chand and Mund. This is a this or that syndrome, head or body or head or tail syndrome, making you not able to take the right and wise decision by yourself and thereby getting dictated by others, and at the end going nowhere and losing all your happiness and end as a sad person. The summit is Subban Nishumb. Here, a person has to choose between being good or being bad, to have wisdom or ignorance, to get illumined or remain in darkness. The choice is pretty obvious. That is, to reach the summit of wisdom, one should have good thoughts, words, and deeds. But the false ego makes us not to take the right decision, because then one has to give up the illegitimate worldly pleasures, and therefore we choose the wrong decision, go the false way, thinking that we are taking a right decision, ending up in disintegration. Therefore, this whole Purana of Devi Mahatmya is a deep prayer to Chandima to keep us away from these mental pitfalls and provide us the powers and energies to quell any such tendencies if they try to keep in. Now, during this Navaratri time, let us all pray to Chandima to give us good thoughts, good words, and make us to do good deeds. Om Namo Durgaye Namaha.